We gave you the Saquon Barkley updates. There's a Josh Jacobs update now. And this is perfect because we'd planned to already discuss this topic with you right here. Breaking 10 minutes ago, Josh Jacobs says he will not show up to training camp without a new deal and will hold out. Team reportedly has until Monday at 1 to reach a new deal with Jacobs. Teams, are facing a situation where a player could easily decide to sit out. Le'Veon Bell did it. I would not recommend it at all. I think the prime for a running back is so important that you got to take whatever a team's willing to give you, unfortunately. The pool of money is drying up very, very quickly. And if someone is going to give you a franchise tag, $10 million to play, I think as a runner, you got to look at that as a great deal, a great opportunity. I know Tony Pollard is. Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs aren't. But I think that's about as good as you can get right now. And how did we get here is the topic now. Bill Barnwell, ESPN, one of the best researchers with a very interesting report on what all happened to put running backs in this historically devalued position. I mean, when I was growing up and well into adulthood, running backs were still competing for MVPs. Everybody needed, one of the great running backs, but things shifted significantly. And Bill writes, something feels wrong about what's happening for running backs. As teams approach training camp later this month, 4 respected veteran rushers remain free agents, seemingly with little interest. Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook. And Barnwell writes, 27-year-old running backs are being portrayed as fossils hanging on to any hope of a meaningful NFL career for dear life, while players at other positions, virtually every other position, are still squarely in their prime and signing long-term deals. The NFL has roundly decided now. By the way, I think if you are on team running back, I salute you, but this is defeat in your argument. At least as far as their value past 27. He says it's reasonable to wonder whether star high school and college players should even consider playing running back when other positions offer more professional upside and stability. That's sort of the premise of this piece that Bill's put together. Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, they got rid of all the guys like me that were hanging around that saw the great era of running backs, of the Emmitt Smiths and the Barry Sanders and the Walter Paytons and those kind of guys. It's a different era. The analytics men and women have come in. They've done a great job of presenting their case, why you need to have a running back or why you don't need to have a running back. You need to focus your offense on different things. And, there's no more. There's no more of the crusty scout guy that's going to fight for. You got to have a running back.
Yeah,
you got to have that guy. You can't play without the running back. Well, the analytics people are now telling you don't have to have the highest paid running back to win Super Bowls.
You got to have a running game.
You have to have a running game.
Yeah.
And if you could piece your running game together with 3 guys and a quality offensive line, you can have some success. And like I say, it's an era gone by.
Yeah.
For guys like me that just we love running backs. I would fight for Bijan Robinson. You know, I fight even though analytics tells you don't need Bijan Robinson, Brian. But it's just that's the upbringing of a lot of us. And football has now, these analytics folks have come in and they've replaced all the guys and gals like me that and from a history that always believed the running back was one of the most important positions you could have.
And it was in that version of the game when the quarterback wasn't so protected. Right. I mean, the rules created this in a big way, although maybe there were signs decades ago that you should have shifted to less team building around a one individual runner and be more focused on everything that comes to develop an imposing running game. That's the proper way to look at it. But I think to advance the conversation, Chief, we do have to ask, has it gone too far now where you have Dalvin Cooks and you have legit runners, Kareem Hunt, Austin Eckler, really, struggling to find value? At some point, the pendulum's going to swing back the other way and say, no, hold on now. You can find other players, but there's a bare minimum of $4, $5, $6 million a year for you to have the certainty of the production and the quality of the guy. And I wonder if we're already swinging past that. We haven't had a new running back market set in 7 seasons now, 6 seasons. So I wonder where that line is, because it still continues to slide back. It's only 25 and 26-year-old runners have value. They're only worth $7-8 million unless it's a franchise tag for 1 year only. Where does that stop? What is the true value of a free agent who's 25, 26 years old over a 3 or 4 year deal? Because the NFL is moving it towards league minimum. They're taking a significant step every year closer to that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes, and does it end up correcting itself. I don't see the correction happening anytime soon. I think a lot of teams are getting some of their running game out of their quarterback as well. And so that's changing things. And then there's consistently year in, year out guys stepping in day one who are mid to late round picks that are giving you more than serviceable reps and production at the running back position. And we know how offensive line dependent it is for the running back to be a stud. And then just overall, like passing, even when passing is not good, it's still a more successful play based on success rate than the best rushing success rate for offenses that we've seen in a decade, which was last season. Last season, it was the average rushing success rate was 39.7%. The quarterback average since 2012 is 45.7%. So the best rushing success rates we've seen in a while are still 6% less than the average quarterback play.
Yeah.
So teams
the purpose of it is really to keep them off your passing game.
Yeah, 100%.
You just have to run enough so they respect it, so you can pass.
Right.
That's really the whole point of the running game as it's playing out today. So, as a team, how do you optimize this? And it might sound impossible, because Barnwell also notes it's nothing personal. It's just economics of supply and demand.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing right now. There's a lot more guys that can do the job than there are jobs. And when that's the case in any market, the price is going to come down very, very significantly. I think it's, maybe a guy like Jerry Jones who understands the value for him in his pocketbook of having a star player at running back who was an Ohio State superstar, right? And he's coming onto TV to help your TV ratings and sell you jerseys. There's value there. But in the football efficiency of just getting yards per dollar spent, it's a massive inefficiency, and essentially every team understands that now.
We should have maybe have known this, and the kids all the way back to, and maybe we should have thought about this in 1987, 88, when at the time the Washington Redskins had a guy named Timmy Smith. And Timmy Smith was a 5th round pick by the Redskins, and he ended up rushing for 204 yards in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden it's like Joe Gibbs at the time was on. I just remember the story. Joe Gibbs didn't even want to tell him he was going to start the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And
he's like, he told him in warmups, "You're starting." He went out and rushed for 204 yards in the Super Bowl, 2 touchdowns.
Wow.
And then they tried next year, he wanted a contract extension. And again, the Redskins said, nah, we're not going to do that.
It's awesome you pulled that from your memory, because Bill also points out, well, he didn't use that one. He used Jim Brown retires. Leroy Kelly puts up 8 Pro Bowl seasons and was an All-Pro in 2 of the next 3 years following Jim Brown.
Wow.
Yeah. Leroy Kelly was a good back.
You have Mike Shanahan in the 90s and 2000s. You move off of TD. You go Reuben Drones, Olandis Gary, Mike Anderson.
Yeah.
All-Pro and Pro Bowl running backs over the next 5 years.
That was a fun offensive line to watch.
Yeah, when you got an offensive line, you got a good scheme to pair with it.
Yeah.
You can throw the average NFL back there, and they can have some dang good seasons. I wonder if you'll start to see more of the cross-breed positions of like Deebo Samuel, where these running backs, and you see a little bit with Bijan Robinson. Like, he's a running back, but you're going to see him do some cool things in the passing game. Yeah. And like, if you'll start to see guys where it's like, hey, you can hand me the ball, but I can also be a wide receiver.
Okay.
And, maybe that is...
I think that's a good angle. But Barnwell looks into that, though. The issue is that most running backs aren't good when you put them on the line, lined up as actual wide receivers.
Right.
They average 6.4 yards per target on throws at the line, while wideouts average 8.3 per target, and tight ends still generate 7.6. So you're basically looking for a runner who can do routes kind of just to keep the defense honest. More than produce, more than you would even throw to your third best wide receiver. Most teams' third best wide receiver is going to crush running backs when it comes to everything that goes into being a wide receiver.
Yeah, it's funny because just the way that they're built, it's not natural for them to have to play in space like that with running routes. Like if you're a 218-pound back or a 215-pound back, it's just, for them, it's kind of not natural to run the routes, where there are 215-pound receivers that know how to escape.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's how you do it, is you have your wide receivers be the runners.
That's
exactly.
What you were trying
like
to
Deebo Samuel is a wide receiver.
You're exactly right.
Who's bringing his game into the running back game, which is much easier for a wide receiver to figure out how to be a running back than vice versa. But if you start this at a younger age, and things always, the NFL is, and college football is still from the high school level and stuff like that. If you start grooming these kids in that way, then you might see more of that. I also wonder how much of it is offensive coordinators just, that's kind of the lay of the land, where it's my running back out there. I'm not going to make him go run these certain kinds of routes.
Yeah.
I'm going to do like a screenplay to him.
Yeah. If like I say, the guys like a Christian McCaffrey and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A little bit more comfortable because you've seen
Dad's a dang wide receiver.
Well, David Shaw, who was the coach at Stanford, used to do it with him. So you kind of, and that's how Tony Pollard, you watch old Memphis tape.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard would play wide. He'd line up outside, and he was comfortable doing those kinds of things.
I think that's the move maybe as the game evolves, is you're training your skill guys together. And, we're all learning the different positions. That way there's total deception. There's 5 guys out here. You don't know who's coming into the backfield, who's in the slot, who's wide. And, it's probably looking for players who would be traditional, more wide receiver builds than running back builds, because you just can't route guys up when you're built, more squatty.
Yeah, for sure.
Than these lean runners. Okay, the other reason for the shift, quarterbacks are doing more running than ever. I mean, just look at the Colts, and Anthony Richardson is his premise there.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way in the past an Anthony Richardson would be given the keys to a franchise out of college after, putting on film and statistically what he did. But the power to run is so big that you can create easy targets with your passing game when you have a quarterback like that. But also, what happened between 2006 and 2011, as this was shifting in a big way, is right as the idea was taking hold in a lot of front offices, you had a historic run on busts of running backs who were pretty good but definitely not worth first-round picks, like D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart and Darren McFadden. And Trent Richardson. That was maybe the king. Felix Jones, Donald Brown, Beanie Wells, Lawrence Maroney. It was one after another that, as this idea was coming hold, it was like, well, yeah, you're going to spend a first-round pick for Jonathan Stewart? What are we doing here, guys? There wasn't the run of guys who were stepping into the league and having like a championship impact at all that could have fought off the trend developing to the extent that it is. But yeah, it's tough right now, and I don't even know what you do. I think if you have a kid that's a multi-sport star and also running back, and you can tell the only thing he's going to do in football is running back, I would try to find something else. Yeah, what else can we do, kid? If we're 16 or 17 years old going into our junior year in high school, and the scouts are out wanting to see you play running back, and we have tried shortstop, we have tried pitcher, we've tried point guard, we've tried soccer. You can make big money in soccer now, son. And that's a much better body type for soccer than the wide receivers. Hell, if you're squatty and strong, you're going to be a beast at center mid. So I don't want to send my kid on a path to CTE with the possibility of getting drafted in the second round, getting $1 million a year for 4 years, and then being done. That's in this economy. You get a house. If you're smart with all of your money, congratulations, you get a house to start adulthood now at 28 years old. That's all you're going to get.
I kind of feel like the position that maybe, if your body type will allow it, is you go play linebacker. Yeah. You move to the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, at least you can make some dough there.
Because all of a sudden you become a guy that can is good enough, and you're shifty enough to get through like traffic and stuff.
Yeah.
Then you have that instinct of how to see things, how to see holes and things. That maybe if you're a running back and you're big enough frame wise, put on more weight and go be a linebacker. That might be a way to to maybe have some longevity in your career.